I call the Honourable Judith Collins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I've been listening very carefully to the debate tonight, and I note that the member who's resumed his seat, I thought, gave a very passionate speech about it, but he acknowledged that the bill did not solve the issues, but it did actually would lead, if it went to Select Committee, to a lot of talking about it. I may be paraphrasing him there, but that's exactly what he sort of said. I think everybody in this House would agree that the situation of young children going to school without breakfast and being hungry until lunchtime or even until they go home again is a very sorry thing to happen in this country, this land of plenty, God's own country. And I was very interested to hear Dr. John Young and his speech that referenced his own growing up and his parents growing up and what they went through. But I'd also say is that in my electorate in Papakura we have breakfast clubs, and that's generally what they're referred to in some of our schools, and particularly in some of the lower decile schools. I have quite a few schools in my electorate that are decile 1 and decile 2. We have some of the poorest people in the country in my electorate. We also, by the way, have some of the wealthiest. So it's a huge disparity. I'd also say that not all children who go to high decile schools are wealthy children or from wealthy families. There are many children who come to our decile 10 schools, our decile 8 schools. In fact, I'm going to see one on Friday with exactly the situation where many of the children come from, some of the children, I should say, come from homes that are at the lower socioeconomic spectrum, and they often suffer. Now, I don't believe for a moment that because a family doesn't have a lot of money that they can't put 2 pieces of bread in the toaster and some margarine or butter or whatever and jam or something for their child. But we know that sometimes both parents are working, sometimes there's only one parent who's home generally anyway with the child. Maybe it's a sole parent family. We also know that some people and that parent may be out working and not able to see the child off to school. But we also know that there are some people who simply do not make this a priority for their children. I don't think they necessarily don't care about their children, but actually there's quite a few people in our country who don't understand the benefit for a child to have a breakfast before they go to school, because they didn't have it when they were growing up, and their parents probably didn't have it when they were growing up, and they just don't understand it. But what we do see in my electorate are quite a few breakfast clubs, I should say, for children who come along, and as some of my school principals have said to me, some of the kids coming here and into those breakfast clubs don't actually need to come in. There are many children who do need to, and it's great that we've got them. But in some schools, they encourage lots of kids to come because it actually takes away any stigma for the child. But it also actually builds a sense of community for a child to come to school and they've got something to do straight away. And it's a really fun activity. It's not sitting down listening to someone else telling them what to do. It's actually a fun thing. So I actually think that the Kickstart program that we've got, it is available to any school that wants it. And I think that's better than just trying to target particular schools. I think we had to start off targeting particular schools because of the numbers of schools that we had to deal with in quite a short period of time. But I also say the Kickstart program is a real opportunity for some very successful companies like Sanitarium and Fonterra that have, by the way, benefited for many years from New Zealand and being part of New Zealand, and we support them obviously in all the things that we seem to do as New Zealanders, that these companies have an opportunity, and they do, to help contribute back to the very people who, by the way, have helped to make their fortunes. And that's what I think is a really great thing. One of the problems that having yet another committee look at something is that actually in the meantime these children need breakfast. You can't wait for a year and wonder why they haven't got a breakfast. It doesn't work like that. We've already got the Kickstart program. It's really feeding children right across the spectrum, and it's also a great way for kids to start. Now, I'd like to see that continue, and so the issue that Mr Shearer brought to the table is an issue that is being redressed. It's not actually for every child, but it is being redressed, and the opportunity is there for every school, no matter what their decile, to take this up for their children. And I think that's a challenge for every school to do so.